magical is in the air, isn't it? Yeah. You know, we're feeling it here in this arena, but it's spreading all across this country we love. A familiar feeling that's been buried too deep for far too long. You know what I'm talking about. It's the contagious power of
Bro,
hope.
I feel like I'm in danger.
The anticipation,
this is the most threatened I've felt
of once again being
in a
on
long
the
time.
cusp of
Dude,
a
people are
brighter day.
people are
The chance
reacting in a way that is,
vanquish the demons
there's an energy change. There's an energy change in the room. We're at peak liberalism,
unfinished
chat.
promise of this great nation, the dream that our parents and grandparents fought and died and sacrificed for. America, hope is making a comeback. But to be honest, I am realizing that until recently, I have mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings, that deep pit in my stomach.
Bro, when Barack comes out, this place is going to
literally
experience an earthquake, I think.
And for me, that mourning
The way people
has
reacted to Michelle,
also been
oh my
mixed
God.
with my own personal grief. The
This
last time I
is
was here,
convincing me that like liberals just want Barack Obama back.
mother, the woman who showed me the meaning of hard work and humility and decency, the woman who set my moral compass high and showed me the power of my own voice. Folks, I still feel her loss so profoundly. I wasn't even sure if I'd be steady enough to stand before you tonight, but my heart compelled me to be here because of the sense of duty that I feel to honor her memory and to remind us all
Oh yeah, good to see you.
not to squander the sacrifices our elders made to give us a better future.
Look at that. She's
You
so
see,
invested.
My mom,
Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes of the people in the crowd. They are so locked in. They're
lived
dialed
out
in.
that striving sense of hope every single day of her life. She believed that all children, all people have value, that anyone can succeed if given the opportunity. She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed.
What's the number?
They understood that it wasn't enough for their kids to thrive if everyone else around us was drowning. So my mother volunteered at the local school. She always looked out for the other kids on the block. She was glad to do the thankless, unglamorous work that for generations has strengthened the fabric of this nation. The belief that if you do unto others, if you love thy neighbor, if you work and scrape and sacrifice, it will pay off. If not for you, then maybe for your children or your grandchildren. You see, those values have been passed on through family farms and factory towns, through tree-lined streets and crowded tenements, through prayer groups and National Guard units and social studies classrooms. Those were the values my mother poured into me until her very last breath. Kamala Harris and I built our lives on those same foundational values. Even though our mothers grew up an ocean apart, they shared the same belief in the promise of this country. That's why her mother moved here from India at 19 It's why she taught Kamala about justice, about the obligation to lift others up, about our responsibility to give more than we take. She'd often tell her daughter, don't sit around and complain about things, do something. So, with that voice in her head, Kamala went out and she worked hard in school, graduating from an HBCU, earning her law degree at a state school. And then she went on to work for the people, fighting to hold lawbreakers accountable, strengthening the rule of law, fighting to get folks better wages, cheaper prescription drugs, a good education, decent health care, child care, elder care. From a middle-class household, Kamala worked her way up to become Vice President of the United States of America. My girl, Kamala Harris, is more than ready for this moment. She is one of the most qualified people ever to seek the office of the presidency. And she is one of the most dignified. A tribute to her mother, to my mother, and to your mother too. The embodiment of the stories we tell ourselves about this country. Her story is your story. It's my story. It's the story of the vast majority of Americans trying to build a better life. Look, Kamala knows, like we do, that regardless of where you come from, what you look like, who you love, how you worship, or what's in your bank account, we all deserve the opportunity to build a decent life. All of our contributions deserve to be accepted and valued.
It kind of blows my mind how bad the rest of like politicians are at public speaking. Even JB Pritzker, in comparison to fucking Michelle Obama, like she's just knocking this shit so far out the park. It's crazy. Like it's insane. How are they so fucking good?
Not by spewing anger and bitterness, but by living a life of service and always pushing the doors
Both of the Obamas are insane.
To others. She understands
fine. It's not, you're not in camera,
that
don't worry.
most of us will never be afforded the grace of failing forward. We will never benefit from the affirmative action of generational wealth.
What's up?
Bankrupt a business.
It's fine. I mean, you can.
If we bankrupt a business
I
or
don't
choke
think you'll
in
be
a
in
crisis,
this shot. I don't think.
we don't get a second, third, or fourth
Yeah,
chance.
it's angled a
If
little bit.
things don't go our way, we don't have the luxury of whining or cheating others to get further ahead. No.
It's a good take. I like the. I always love talking about affirmative action from the perspective of generational wealth. I think it's a solid way to approach the issue.
We don't expect there to be an escalator waiting to take us to the top. No.
That's a good line.
Our heads down. We get to work. In America, we do something. And throughout her entire life, that's what we've seen from Kamala Harris. The steel of her spine, the steadiness of her upbringing, the honesty of her example, and yes, the joy of her laughter and her light. It couldn't be more obvious. Of the two major candidates in this race, only Kamala Harris truly understands the unseen labor and unwavering commitment that has always made America great. Now, unfortunately, we know what comes next. We know folks are going to do everything they can to distort
Text me
her
your
truth.
email.
My husband and I sadly know a little something about this. For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us. See, his limited, narrow view of the world made him feel threatened by the existence of two hard-working, highly educated, successful people who happen to be black. Tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs.
I had to mute myself because the noise gate could not contain the excitement in the room after that line. They went fucking nuts in here with that.
It's his same old con. His same old con. Doubling down on ugly, misogynistic, racist lies as a substitute for real ideas and solutions that will actually make people's lives better. Look, because cutting our health care, taking
That's
away
crazy.
our freedom
That's
to
crazy. The Josh Shapiro cut is crazy, okay?
become a mother through IVF like
That's
I
crazy.
did, those things are not going to improve the health outcomes of our wives, mothers, and daughters. Shutting down the Department of Education, banning our books, none of that will prepare our kids for the future. Demonizing our children for being who they are and loving who they love, look, that doesn't make anybody's life better. Instead, it only makes us small. And let me tell you this, going small is never the answer. Going small is the opposite of what we teach our kids. Going small is petty, it's unhealthy, and quite frankly, it's unpresidential. So, why would any of us accept this from anyone seeking our highest office? Why would we normalize that type of backward leadership? Doing so only demeans and cheapens our politics. It only serves to further discourage good, big-hearted people from wanting to get involved at all. America, our parents taught us better than that, and we deserve so much better than that. That's why we must do everything in our power to elect two of those good, big-hearted people. There is no other choice than Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. No other choice. But as we embrace this renewed sense of hope, let us not forget the despair we have felt. Let us not forget what we are up against. Yes, Kamala and Tim are doing great now. We're loving it. They're packing arenas across the country. Folks are energized. We are feeling good. But remember, there are still so many people who are desperate for a different outcome, who are ready to question and criticize every move Kamala makes, who are eager to spread those lies, who don't want to vote for a woman, who will continue to prioritize building their wealth over ensuring that everyone has enough. So no matter how good we feel tonight or tomorrow or the next day, this is going to be an uphill battle. So folks, we cannot be our own worst enemies. No. See, because the minute something goes wrong, the minute a lie takes hold, folks, we cannot start wringing our hands. We cannot get a Goldilocks complex about whether everything is just right. And we cannot indulge our anxieties about whether this country will elect someone like Kamala,